So I want to talk to you a little bit about the importance of stories and storylines in professional wrestling, and why focusing on the end result or the predetermined outcomes is an exercise in missing the point. So if you talk to any long-term professional wrestling fan, 99% of them understand that wrestling is booked or written in advance. And so why would they still be engaged if they already know that the competition is a hoax? So let's talk about what makes a good story and how that applies to professional wrestling, and what keeps fans engaged in a hoax or a facade of competition. So elements of a good story include 5 things. There's characters, there's the setting, the goals of said characters, the conflict, and the resolution. So if we were to take pro wrestling, for example, our characters would be our wrestlers. Our setting would be our event and the ring itself. Our goals for the characters usually involve establishing superiority or dominance in some form or fashion. The conflict is the match itself, which most people focus on, and the resolution is the outcome of that match, or the result of that match. And for people that are coming to this video and don't know the rules of pro wrestling, a satisfying resolution for a match usually ends in pinfall, which means that a wrestler pins another wrestler's shoulders down to the mat, that's both shoulders, for a count of 3. So when you see a referee slap the mat, they are literally counting for a pinfall. Or a match concludes via submission, which means that a wrestler puts another wrestler into some type of hold or some type of position where the opposing wrestler has to submit or admit defeat because they can't progress any further. And that's usually through the opposition tapping or verbally quitting. If you've ever played the game Uncle as a kid, and the game of Uncle means usually like wrestling with somebody and they're annoying you so much, or they put you in a position where you can't get out and you're frustrated and you yell, "Uncle, uncle, uncle," that is submission in a nutshell. So we talked about how a lot of people focus on the conflict and resolution being predetermined. So if we know these things in advance, that means we need to take the other elements of the story and focus on making those bigger, better, and more engaging in order to make up for the fact that matches and results of those matches are more often than not predetermined. So let's dive a little deeper into the goals of wrestlers in the professional wrestling realm. So when I talk about establishing superiority or establishing dominance in any competitive setting, and we'll use sports as an example, the goal of competing and the goal of being in a sport is to win. You want to win. And winning means being the superior performer in that sport. If you look back to how sports began, the oldest sport in our world is wrestling. And the reason why wrestling is considered to be the oldest sport is we didn't have this world of leisure that we have today. That wasn't around thousands of years ago. The beginning of the human race involved a lot of just surviving. Surviving the elements, surviving conflict between warring societies. And the development of sport was basically a means to either prepare people for war or to pass the time during peacetime situations. So we all know in the human race that the ultimate conflict is fighting. Because the potential outcomes of fighting lead to the most dangerous results, which, if we're talking about war or we're talking about survival, the harshest reality is that death could come. So wrestling as a sport takes that element of death out of the equation, because dying's not really cool when it's leisure. So they establish a rule set, just like in any other sport, where you don't have to kill the opposition to show that you're better than the opposition. Anyways, that took a dark turn. But if we focus our efforts on great characters and great goals and motivations, then A professional wrestling show, which involves the setting, the actual conflict, and the resolutions, will be engaging to our audience. So in my next video, I'm going to talk more about what makes a good character and what makes for more intriguing or more fascinating goals besides just competitive spirit.
Thank you for watching this video. This is really a labor of love for me. I want to give a special thank you to my Patreon subscribers, Adrian Astrofox Salas and Laura Sugar Mama Stevens. Patreon is a membership platform that provides business tools for creators to run a subscription content service, with ways for artists to build relationships and provide exclusive experiences to their subscribers, or as they're known on the website, patrons. My patrons will be getting extra footage this week with audio from my Royal Rumble road trip. If you want in on extra content or want a shout out in my public videos with a custom wrestling nickname, go to patreon.com/BoProWrestling to subscribe, link provided below in the description. Also, big thank you for all the good sports in this video, including Doc, Darcy, Rory, Ben, and Jackie. Y'all made my first live Royal Rumble event amazing, and I'm so glad to call all of you my friends. If you are interested in training and live in the San Diego area, make sure to check out Level Up Pro Wrestling School, link also provided below in the description. As always, stay safe out there so I can see you next week. Oh, and by the way, did I mention I won this year's men's Royal Rumble pool?
Burn it fucking down! Yes! Oh, yes! Yes, baby! I'm winning this bad boy!